to be super great if Percival can kill this Curie with the dog. This is definitely some try-hard vector right there, but it's actually going to get caught in a really bad location. Things are not looking super great for Mixu for the moment right now, but these Hornets... Welcome to Stormgate. I'm your host, Korak, and today's map is Boneyard. Announcement: this is the TANC 15 American Top 12. Starting us off in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the blue robes and the infernal gloves, we have ISanych. His opponent for the moment in the top right-hand corner of the map, wearing the red robes in the celestial gloves, we have Don. Both fighters ready. Begin. It looks like our Celestial faction, it looks like Don is starting out strong. He immediately moved a Morph Core into the Stormforge and is probably going to be pumping out vectors here any moment to get some early harassment on his opponent. Hexen for ISanych is going to move in over here and get a little bit of scouting, but he's going to see that nothing is going on, and he's going to teleport back to his base to regroup with his Gaunts and probably start attacking the slimes over here. Getting that health tower will be critical to defending that natural expansion that the Infernals are ultimately going to need. They need a little bit stronger economy than a couple of the other races. And here it is. Here is the first vector for Don. He is going to start his harassment, and he's going to make it almost perfect timing at the same time that they are hitting these slimes. Hopefully he can get some hits on the back of his opponent, but we will get to see here in a moment. We see the macro and the immediate turnaround for ISanych to try to push out this vector, but the vector is just too fast to be dealt with in that way. He does blink thinking that they're going to move in and do a little more damage, but that is not the case. He probably needs to go find a flower, and there it is. He grabs his flower, and he gets his reinforcements from the other vector. This harassment is going to continue, and that's very good for him. Delaying his opponent in this high-level play will be extremely critical to who wins. The smallest mistakes and the smallest decisions can make such a massive difference, whether it's in the micro, whether it's in the macro, whether it's just in harassment, or what Don is doing here, where he is delaying ISanich's expansion. He's delaying ISanych from getting this initial tower. He does have it now as more reinforcements for the vectors arrive. Does look like we do have a vector down to 30 HP. It's probably going to go seek out another flower here in a moment, and we have a couple more forces maybe than ISanych wanted to make early on. He probably wanted that expansion sooner rather than later, but I could be wrong in that case. I'm not sure if he's walking anyone over. He is going for the energy of the slimes over here on his side of the map. I do not believe there is the flower grab for the vector, so I'm guessing after they are healed up, they're going to continue this harassment. Both these vectors are in good HP, and you have two more coming down for the reinforcements. They're going to continue picking, poking, and prodding on their opponent. They get another kill on a Fiend, but it's not going to be enough to write home about, and they almost get a little bit of pincer in, but I do not think they have the forces as of right now. He's waiting for that fourth vector. Fourth vector is here, and it moves in, but he's not moving the second group down below. Maybe he's waiting for them to make some sort of move so maybe he can get a pincer, but that is not going to be the case. The micro is here for ISanych. Back in and out, and there is the blink for the vectors, them still not wanting to really take that fight, just wanting to do these hit and run tactics and delay their opponents even more. Morph Core moving into the natural expansion. The Celestial is the first to expand, or will be here any moment now. Yep, there he goes right there. And we are still producing these. Nope, no, we're no longer producing vectors, so maybe he'll transition into some Argents here in a minute. On the other side of the map, we do have ISanych here with a good number of units built up. He's got a good number of these fast-moving Gaunts, and he has a Brute ready for the fight. He's going to need speed on his side if Don is going to double down into the vectors. Looks like Don went back to grab his health tower to heal his vectors to continue this harassment. ISanych using this Fiend to great effect, getting a scout off, poking around, making sure that he does not get ambushed in a good spot. This is what you see from these higher level players. This little bit of scouting is extremely important. They do spot the Starforge, and they're starting to move in, and I believe we're going to get... Nope, no response from the Vectors. It looks like the Starforge is just going to get taken out almost for free. It's already down to 500 HP, and there it goes. I don't think Don has the forces to deal with... No, there's no way he has the forces to deal with that. Maybe he invested a little bit too heavily into these Vectors, or maybe he has something more up his sleeve that I am not seeing. Right now, things are not looking good for him. ISanych is on his front doorstep, and he only has 4 Vectors to fight him off with. It's not looking super great. Scouts move in, Fiends move in, and they find their opponent wanting. There is a link node, and maybe that's going to be enough to keep off the forces, to keep off the Inferno forces. But I'm pretty sure they could win that engagement, especially with the Brutes here, especially with the Hexen here. And there is another link node to deal more and more damage, but the forces for all of these Infernals are just too much. They trap the Vectors over here all by the healing tower, and do get 1 down, do get 2 down, and pretty soon a 3rd and a 4th Vector. There are no forces left over here by Don. Don is looking in really bad position. Link node after link node, I'm sorry, strike node after strike node keeps getting taken down, and the forces have not been stopped. Sure, there's an arc shift here, but he's going to lose this natural expansion. He's going to lose all of that work he did early on in the game, all of that harassment, and more forces for the Infernals continue to arise here for ISanych. ISanych is doing very good. He's finding an amazing purchase, and there is the GG. That is match number 1 between ISanych and Don. I will see you in the 2nd round, Commander. Welcome back, Commander. This is round 2 of the match between ISanych and Don. The map is Last Hope, and if Don is not careful, this may be his last hope in order to secure a victory in moving into the further sections of the bracket. Both players are shooting for that quarterfinal, shooting for those semifinals, and trying to progress in order to win the ultimate prize for the TANC American tournament. Funnily enough, the American tournament is filled with a bunch of different European players. I'm not versed enough to know which player is from which nationality as of right now, but I did see some commentary on that the TANC 15 was bolstered by a bunch more Europeans and people outside of the Americas, which I guess is not that uncommon for games like StarCraft. So I guess it's not too strange. And here we go. We're grabbing the Starforge once again. Don electing that it wasn't his build that was the problem. It was possibly what he attacked. Thinking that maybe he can get a little bit of a better purchase from his Vectors this time around. However, ISanych might be ready to expect it. As soon as he sees one Vector, he's probably already working on some ideas in his head on what and how to counter that. Vector poking around, doing a tiny amount of scouting. If he's not careful here, he's going to run directly into the forces of ISanych, and there it is right now. Vector's going to get a whole 6 damage dealt to it. Not going to be enough to really write home about, but it is going to be enough to push him back just a tiny bit. Second Vector is going to join the forces of Don and going to try to take out ISanych. ISanych is going to move his Brute up like he should, and these Vectors do actually get the Hexen in a really good shot. One does disappear, one does teleport back, a second one does teleport back, and they get that Hexen, and I'm sorry, I guess those 2 Gaunts. He gets those 2 Gaunts for free, leaving the Hexen alive and the Brute alive. The Brute obviously not being the bigger target to go for. I know he is literally the bigger target, but when the Brutes die, they explode into those Fiends, and that's not what these Vectors want. These Vectors want to deal with slower moving units, and they want to take out these Gaunts and these Hexen. And they are starting their sort of sharking phase where they're moving around in circles, and the Vectors are actually going to move into the base of ISanych. There is one escape, so if they can plan this right, they can kill a couple of the Imps and they can move out from there. But there are a few Gaunts here for the defense, but they're going to go down just as quickly as they are up. One Brute is going to move its way forward, but these Vectors can outmaneuver it with no problem whatsoever. Fourth Vector is going to make its way over here. A couple of Fiends are going to get caught out, but they are just there for scouts, and these Vectors are not looking in a great spot. He still hasn't found an amazing purchase for them as of right now. He's about to lose one Vector if he's not careful. There goes one Vector. Two Gaunts taken down. This micro is going very nicely back and forward for both players, but Don is coming out a little bit underhand for the time being. He tries to get the healing tower away from his opponent, but it is too little too late. The brutes are going to pressure him and move out. One brute does get taken out, spawning a couple of these fiends. That's going to give them a little more maneuverability when they need it. And this Vector is caught in actually a really bad spot. All four are going to flash and get saved out. They need to get some healing on them because they haven't found any purchase. I don't know what Don's going to be able to do because ISanych has just been absolutely on top of this, and he's not been able to get the gains that he may have been able to get against a lesser player. Don's still stacking up his forces, getting ready for the inevitable fight with these Vectors. And here we go. The Vectors are starting moving, but they're not entirely grouped up. They're not going to be able to concave. They are going to be able to pick out a couple of the weaker units, but that's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. We are going into more and more Vectors for Don. He wants these hit and run tactics. He's going to try very hard to get these hit and run tactics, and he's going to keep trying to grab this health tower from his opponent. That'll be great for him if he can heal these Vectors and pop in and out and kill his opponents when he needs to. And there's a 6th Vector right there, but he's actually gonna get caught in a really bad location and almost get taken out. Now I take it back, it's over at 120. The blink for that one is there, and there are 6 Vectors here to start this assault to move back and forward, and the micro is looking much better for Don this time around. He's doing much better than he was previously, but the other thing though too is, like, I'm not sure how much he's going to be delaying his opponent, but I guess this entire time he's forcing ISanych to build up his forces. Microing is continuing back and forward. It does look like the health tower was taken over by ISanych. ISanych was able to get that back under his control, and they were able to take down one Vector. And these Vectors are just going to lose more and more health, and they are so low health for the time being. And they're probably going to get... Nope, they do get a really good blink out. One Vector goes down out of the 6. Wow, oh my god. There's only 2 Vectors right now left for Don. Things are not looking great for him, and there it is. There's the GG. Don lost 4 of his Vectors in that fight and threw in the towel. He's being knocked out of this tournament while ISanych moves into the higher bracket. I will see you in match number 3, Commander. Welcome back, Commander, to match number 3 on the map Isles of Dread. Starting us off in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the blue robe, sporting the Vanguard gloves, we have Mixu. His opponent for the moment in the top right-hand corner of the map, wearing the red robe, sporting the celestial gloves, we have Aureil. Both fighters ready. Begin. Aureil getting his first Morph Core, possibly looking for an early expansion. Maybe he's going to do some Vectors like we saw in the previous game, but that did not work out super well for Don, but who knows? Maybe it'll work better this time around for Aureil. Aureil going even further with his Morph Core than I originally expected. Dog is going to do a little bit of scouting and take some shots on its way out, but it's going to move. The Morph Core is going to move back into the trees and move back over for the expansion. Dog looking to grab that, or looking to see that, maybe do a tiny bit of scouting. He did get a howl off earlier, but not sure how much it was going to be able to help him, or at least I believe that was a howl. Celestials are definitely the first to expand here. No, actually he's not. Aureil still hasn't deployed his Morph Core. I wonder what his plan is. Maybe he's worried about that dog. Maybe he's trying to get something sneaky and maybe get another base, another location. Or maybe even better, he's trying to put some sort of building down over here in the bottom right. I guess if he can make his way all the way over to that bottom right, he can control it. But I think that might delay his economy just a little bit. Neither player has started off with anything super aggressive as of right now. Mixu is just grabbing his dog and running around grabbing his... Actually, he does have a Lancer. Mixu did grab a Lancer at some point, but they did... No, yeah, they were able to take out the tower over here, which is going to alert Aureil where his opponent is. Aureil actually grabbing a Legion Hall and grabbing a couple of Seraphims to start taking out this line of sight tower, take out this vision tower. That's definitely an interesting start. I haven't seen that yet personally on my end, and it looks like we have moved from an Arc Station, or, well, I guess it looks like we have done some upgrades to the Arc Station. I forget which upgrades are important to it, but I know with the Vanguard you can slowly upgrade the command post, and I'm assuming that the Celestials have something extremely similar as well. This is an awful lot of dogs over here grabbing a little bit of healing, and it looks like they have the additional damage to light infantry upgrade. Oh no, that's the puffer sense. I thought they already had that upgrade. I guess not. They are going to elect to grab more and more towers while we have our first set of Seraphim out here for Aureil. Aureil going to be poking around trying to get this health tower to match his opponent on the opposite side. Both players going for pretty much the same towers, so I'm guessing vision and HP are extremely important on this particular map, on Isles of Dread. More and more Seraphim are getting pumped out for Aureil, but it doesn't look like Aureil has really grabbed too many of the prisms or too many expansions for the moment. The forces for Mixu are building up more and more and faster. He has transitioned and grabbed a hedgehog to meet with his dogs. Not a bad combination. I would not have thought of using the dogs with the hedgehog, but I guess that would make sense. It'd give you something to give you a fast-moving melee to protect your fast-moving range unit. I'm actually pretty excited to see that, and the more and more I watch Stormgate content, the more and more I get to see these sort of pieces moving around in these higher level players' heads, and it's always extremely nice to see. I think it was Tasteless that was saying that there's going to be several moments in Stormgate that are going to be extremely unique to Stormgate, like when players have that initial aha moment and they're able to do a lot with that, or change the meta as they play. That's much harder to do in StarCraft because it has pretty much been filled out. These Seraphims so far are uncontested. If they are not careful, they're going to get shot out of the sky by the Hedgehogs, but maybe that's what the Seraphim are waiting for, so they can begin their assault after that. And oh no, good, there goes the natural expansion for Aureil. That is going to be painful for him. These Seraphim are still going to push out the forces of Mixu, but they did their damage. They were able to get that natural expansion for their opponent. They were able to take it out early, and it looks like Mixu has elected to not go for his dual Luminite like his opponent. His opponent, Aureil, did grab the dual Luminite, but the dual Luminite doesn't matter if you don't have a base there to harvest it. Morph Core does move in for Aureil and is going to be able to get a base built up. Hopefully he can keep it. I'm not sure. There are the Seraphims right now. It looks like Aureil is beginning his aggressive phase of the stage. Mixu's response will definitely be the interesting one. He split his hedgehogs and dogs. Dogs possibly going for the natural expansion or going for something on his opponent's base. They do get one of the howls off, and they're starting to poke around and look for some targets. And there are the Seraphims. They're starting to attack the Bobs uncontested of Mixu. Mixu is not in a great spot. This is a lot of Seraphims here, and they're going to completely shut down the Trinium production. Words are hard. There it is. The Hedgehogs are going to deploy into anti-air mode and begin to do a lot of damage to these Seraphims, but the Seraphims are just going to back up since the Hedgehogs are deployed in a particular location. More and more Bobs are going to get taken out, and Aureil is finding amazing purchase in his Seraphims. They are trying the best they can to build this sentry post, but it's going to be too little too late. However, a good number of the Seraphims have been taken out, I think 2 or 3, but the damage is done. Mixu was forced to stop a lot of his production and forced to stop a lot of his Luminite and definitely all of his secondary resource mining. So that's going to be big for him, but Mixu did transition over into Hornets relatively quickly, and it does seem to be the answer to these Seraphims that Aureil is pumping out. Splitting up his Seraphims, scouting around, trying to figure out where these Hornets are running their way to. It'll be definitely interesting to see what Mixu can get done with these guys. I think they want to get... Maybe they're going for a scout. I'm not sure right now. Right now, they're choosing to elect to grab these Seraphims, but I think they're outnumbered. I don't think the Seraphims can attack them, but they are deciding to go for the Prism. He gets a little bit of revenge. He says, you took out a couple of my resources. Now I'm going to start taking out your resources. He takes out prism after prism, and now he's picking on the creation chamber, and there is no response here for Aureil. Aureil is getting infrastructure loss, and Mixu is doing tit for tat and coming out on top for the moment. Now he's going for his original natural expansion, and it's going to get taken out rather quickly. These Hornets are just going to be able to do too much damage. The dogs are going to be able to take out the Argents, and the Seraphines are going to be picked on by these Hornets. This Arc Station is not in a good position in order to help his allies heal, in order to help his allies move forward, and help his forces, I should say, move forward. These dogs and Hornets are still just absolutely wrecking the forces of Aureil, getting multiple kills left and right, and the most important thing, it's giving Mixu more and more time to build up his economy and recover from the damage that his opponent did. And it looks like this whole time these hedgehogs and more dogs moved into the secondary natural expansion of Aureil. Aureil is looking in a really terrible spot, and there it is. There's the first GG for this series between Mixu and Aureil. Aureil? It's one of those. I'll see you in match number 4, Commander. There you are, Commander. We are on the map Boneyard in match number 4, round 2, between Mixu, who has hung on to his blue, and Aureil, who has hung on to his red. Both players grabbing their exact same faction, their practice faction, their Vanguard and their Celestials, and they have started off with the standard Vanguard dog opener. Let's see if the Arc ship gets off something sneaky for Aureil this time around, and maybe he finds some purchase in it. He originally got some decent hits off on the with the Seraphines, I should say, on top of Mixu, getting into his backline, but Mixu transitioned really nicely over into Hornets and a couple of other things that were just uncontested by Mixu. Maybe Mixu invested just a little bit too much into the Seraphines and not his economy like maybe he potentially needed to, but Mixu did do a very good job of keeping his opponent on his back toes on his back heels once he progressed further into the game, further into his build. It does look like Mixu is going, or sorry, Aureil is going to grab the Safety Luminite mine over here. It's not super easy for Vanguard to grab because of the location that it's at. And I think it lets you take a transport and put a bunch of bobs in it. I think that's the only way you can get to it for the Vanguard faction. You guys can correct me down in the comments if there's another way for Vanguards to make it up to that spot. I haven't seen anyone but Celestial go for it. Maybe it's just not worth the investment for the other faction. We're getting another Legional haul out here for Aureil. He's probably going to dive more into the Seraphins. Hopefully he bolsters them with something else, because he's going to need an answer to deal with the dogs and the possible Hornets that are going to come out, unless he can get some early harassment off on Mixu and take out his forces where he can. Mixu grabbing his first Vision Tower. Words are hard. And he's not quite going to be able to see the expansion for the Legion Hall, but he will, and there he goes. The dogs do scout it, they do see it, and they see the one Seraphine floating over to their base. The infrastructure for Aureil still hasn't developed too nicely as of right now, to where his opponent on the other side has boosted his bobs and already got out a command post, starting those upgrades into his economy. We've seen Mixu do a very good job with these dogs getting a good number of not only kills but scouting. It's really nice to see those early aggressive units for the Vanguards. I think the dogs were a good choice to pop in the game. The only other place I've really seen that is in games like Command & Conquer, where you can have dogs and bears and whatnot per faction. And the mech bay is scouted for the Seraphines, and the Seraphines are going to decide to go for a sentry post instead. Bobs are going to get a little bit of boost from their command post, but it's not going to be enough to stop the Seraphines. Seraphines kill sentry post after sentry post, and Mixu just continues to make these sentry posts, and he might actually get this one out. It is getting pretty close, and these Seraphines just aren't doing enough damage. There are too many Bobs here doing all of this right now, just delaying this assault. These Seraphines are sort of wasting their time killing this sentry post. However, this entire time, these Bobs have been kept alive, although they have not been able to mine their Luminite mine. Bob's moving over to repair the Hedgehog, as well as one moving into the Sentry Post, doing a very good job of pushing these Seraphines out. However, the Seraphines did actually grab the health tower for their opponent, so they can just sit here and continue to deal more and more damage as more and more reinforcements arrive. Dogs and Lancers are inside the base of Aureil, but Aureil's actually in a really good spot here. If he can take out that Hedgehog, he'll continue with his assault relatively uncontested, although there is still an assault continuing over on the other side. Micro is here, and this tower is just keeping these units alive. They're just not dying as more and more reinforcements arrive, and Mixu is just not able to harvest his resources, having to spend a lot of time repairing this Repair-O-Mac and repairing this Hedgehog. Secondary Sentry Post is going to get put up, as well as a boost for the Bobs. Bobs are going to try the best they can to get that up as quickly as they can, and it looks like they might actually be successful. There it is. There is a second one up, and probably an Engineer going to pop into it, I think, unless he finally does have some units to move over into it, Infantry or something. One Sentry Post does get taken down, and the Seraphine numbers continue to grow and grow and grow, but the Bobs are continuing to repair, leaving Aureil just basically uncontested on the map. Aureil changing it up and deciding to go for maybe the mech bay instead. Yes, that is his target. He's given up on that natural expansion. He's wasted a good amount of time, and so he's going to continue to pick on his opponent again and again. Switching over to the habitat, switching over to the Sentry Post that he notices he just cannot focus on a target. There goes the mech bay. I think that was actually a sell-off for him, and Mixu is not looking in a great spot. His economy has been slowed down time and time again. Seraphine's going for that Hedgehog. They need to take it out, but they're not going to be able to do it. The main base is just absolutely in shambles. Sentry Post, as a Sentry Post tries to get put up, but there's not enough Bobs here in order to do that, and the main base for Mixu is all but gone. These Seraphines have kicked in the door and have said, I live here now, and have begun to pay rent. There's the sell-off of the barracks, and this command post is completely uncontested. Mixu having to move from his main base to his natural rather quickly. He is set up decently over here, able to get a barracks out here in a minute, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. I think the damage is done. This seems to be all but in Aureil's favor. He was not able to find the purchase he needed to in that first round in match number 3, but match number 4, these Seraphines are coming out strong and doing a lot of damage. I was thinking that he needed to transition into something else, but he's doing a very, very good job with just the Seraphines that he has. I don't think this will work forever, and which is why it seems like he is going for the siege tower. There he is. He takes it out. He grabs the siege tower, and he gets the V5 rocket launcher. And possibly a second V5 rocket launcher. Maybe he hit the timer right at the exact time to get a second. Yep, there it is. He's going to be able to get 2 V5 rocket launchers. I didn't realize you could get them back-to-back like that. I thought the timer for the towers was based off of when you kill them, as in when you kill the tower, that's when their timer starts, but that does not appear to be the case. It does look like Aureil practiced that to get these multiple V5 rockets, and that's what he's going to try to go for. He's going to try to use these rockets to hammer the base of Mixu, trying to push him even further into the Stone Age, while Mixu's forces are over on the right-hand side of the map. These V5 rockets are beginning to set up and going to try to do their splash damage on these Bobs, as these Seraphines are still uncontested over here. There's absolutely nothing to go for them. Nobody has grabbed the healing tower, but I'm not sure it matters. I think this game is all but over. There is the GG from Mixu, tying up our score at 1-1. Aureil finding an amazing purchase in those units. I will see you in match number 5, Commander. Welcome to Titan's Causeway. We are into match number 5, and we are on the game-winning match between Mixu, who has held onto his blue, and Aureil, who has held onto his red. Words are hard, help me. Dog has begun its scouting out over on the southern section of the map. He's going to poke around and prod where his opponent is and see if what he's going to be able to get out. I don't see a morph core yet for Aureil if he's going to dive into those Seraphine. There is the morph core just as soon as I bring it up. And he's not going to grab, he's going to go for a creation chamber this time around. Aureil mixing up his build just a little bit. Let's see how Mixu will respond. Mixu is also going to be able to see that Aureil has changed up his build. Another Morph Core has come out, and is probably going to look for a natural expansion, maybe? Unless he's going to grab some Seraphine as well. Those did seem to go well for him, but maybe he just wasn't able to kill Mixu quite as quickly as he wanted to. Mixu using his bobs very, very well in a good position as far as saving his base. He wasn't able to save his main base, but he was able to keep that natural expansion alive for a very long time. But unfortunately, he gave Aureil way too much time to build up. Nobody is producing units for the moment. We do have our first barracks out. I take it back. There actually is some dogs. So we have one Lancer that I missed and a couple of dogs running around grabbing some of the towers for Mixu. Mixu's still not putting anything down for his. I take it back. There's the Legion Hall. So it looks like maybe he's going for the Seraphim as well. Maybe that was a bit of a fake out, producing that creation chamber early on. We'll get to see here in a moment. Dogs and Lancers are taking out the forces of this tower, of the speed tower, to try to get that buff. And from what I was reading from a couple of the other players, it does look like that tower gives you a passive buff to speed. I know it gives you an initial 30 seconds to, like, once you run into the tower or once you leave the tower, you have 30 seconds to like use the buff appropriately. Like, so these units here should get it. There it is right there. The swiftness buff that lasts for 30 seconds. Wow, that is a very, very World of Warcraft name for them. And there are a lot of dogs inside the main base of the Celestials, inside Aureil. This is already not looking super great for him. However, the Creation Chamber is going to push them out, and they're going to decide to go for the Legion Hall. There are a couple of Seraphim here for it, but if they're not careful, they're going to lose their Legion Hall back here. It doesn't look like Aureil can't decide what he wants to go for. This could be extremely critical for him, losing this Legion Hall. Not only will he lose his production, but he'll lose the resources he invested in that, and I don't think he's gonna be able to save this Legion Hall at all. There's too many dogs, there are too many Lancers here, and not enough Seraphine to take them out. Morph Core still has not deployed, probably waiting for the dogs to run away, and they do finally decide to back up and run away from these Seraphim, but those are all the forces of Aureil. Granted, there is no AA here to stop them, so he might be able to get a Lancer, but the dogs are just a little bit too fast for the Seraphine to keep up with. No Morph Core yet to replace the building for the Seraphine for Aureil as of right now. We do have two barracks over here for the Vanguard faction for Mixu. Not sure if Mixu is just going pure dogs. Nope, he actually decides to sell that one. Okay. Maybe he didn't like the positioning of it. Maybe he thought better of and wants to go into a different build as well. I'm not sure what his thinking is for that. There are still a couple more Seraphine. I don't know where they're producing from, unless that third one was off running a mission somewhere. I'm not sure, but the Seraphine are going to try the best they can to grab this Luminite tower from the mobs here in the center. Not a bad thing to grab. Getting that passive Luminite will be super, super useful. He unfortunately does leave one unit behind and is not able to grab that tower in the time he wants. And while he's actually grabbing this tower, more and more of the base of Aureil is going to get attacked and destroyed. These dogs are just absolutely uncontested and just destroying infrastructure after infrastructure. There goes two more power banks. That's going to cost him, that's going to cost Aureil a significant amount of money. He's also going for his upgrades. He's going for the Trinium Purifier, which is going to be extremely, extremely annoying. There are 4 Seraphim here. I don't know where he's getting these Seraphim, where he's built them. Oh, here he goes. He's sandwiched it back here. He sandwiched the Legion Hall back here behind everything else. That's not a bad strategy. That way he can continue to produce his Seraphim. I'm not a StarCraft player whatsoever, so I don't have that frame of mind, but that's a really interesting strategy for me. I'm pretty sure that's extremely common in StarCraft and probably extremely common in Stormgate, but it is news to me, and it makes a lot of sense. Still mass dog span over here for Mixu. He hasn't transitioned into the Hornets, which he found an amazing purchase in last time, but maybe he will change his mind later on. He is deciding to go for... Okay, I thought he was going to go for that tower and get that free Trinium, but maybe he is going to go for picking on the base of his opponent. And the Celestials have built their base almost entirely back up in here, protecting the Seraphim production. There are the dogs. The dogs are going to start chewing on one of the power banks as other two dogs scout their way over here, starting to go for the main base, this collection array of the Aureil of the Celestial faction. I'm not sure two dogs are going to be able to take that out, but they are going to be annoying. They're going to get the scout off and run away. One good boy does get taken down, and the other one is probably forgotten about. It looks like Mixu was focusing on some other things over there, so unfortunately, a good boy, a Fur Missile, did finally get taken down. Bob is going to break its way into this hidden part of the Titan's Causeway. Unless I actually mix this map up, and it is Sacred Grove. No, I think Sacred Grove doesn't have water. I'm pretty sure this is Titan's Causeway. Y'all can correct me down in the comments. I'm sure somebody will. More and more towers are grabbed by Aureil. Aureil's done a very good job using his very, very mobile Seraphim to grab as many towers as he possibly can, grabbing that center tower. And there is the Hornet. There is the response for Mixu, and the Seraphims just don't have a response for it except to run away. It'll be nice to see more and more of those Hornets. Those are definitely what Mixu is going to need if the Seraphim are going to continue to be produced. But it actually looks like we're getting more Argents this time around inside of Aureil's build. Aureil's build. How Mixu will adapt to it will definitely make or break this game. He's still going for a lot of dogs. I guess the dogs can chew on the Argents. The Argents are considered heavy units, so the dogs don't get the bonuses on them. They do get bonuses on the Curie, but the Curie kind of want to die since they're a mix between the Banelings and the Zealots. They really want to get in the back line and explode, but I guess right now Mixu doesn't really have much of a back line. He just has a couple of these Hornets, and he has a couple of dogs floating around, and if the dogs die to the Curie, I don't think that's really that big of a loss unless he has a lot of investments in it. Hornets grab the tower in the center and push out the Seraphim. They spot their target, they spot who they want to kill, and they're starting to go for the Seraphim. One Seraphim is finally taken out, but the Argents and the Cabals are here to push out the Hornets. Hornets microed in and out and getting slowed down and getting picked on, but not picked off. That Hornet able to make it through that entire engagement. Although if they're not careful, they're going to have some major damage dealt to them here in a minute. The forces for Aureil do decide to go another direction instead of defending his base as these Hornets take out prisms and poke at this Arc Station. The Arc Station is ultimately going to be able to push them out as the Seraphim and the forces of Aureil begin to move their way into the natural expansion of their opponent. Taking their opponent's health tower will be extremely great, but Mixu is on top of it. Mixu is ready for this. He moves his dogs in, he moves his Hornets in, but his forces don't look too numerous. He needs these other Hornets to start picking on these Seraphim, and he, most importantly, he needs some forces on the ground to deal with the Cabal and deal with the transition that Aureil has gone through in order to grab these Argents and in order to grab this Cabal. Things are not looking super great for Mixu for the moment right now, but these Hornets are going to start taking out several of these Cabals, several of the Seraphims, and all that's really left is the Argents. And there's the answer. There's the Volcom to start poking on the Argents. The Argents are too preoccupied to dealing with these Hornets. There is a one click right there getting some heals off for these Argents, but these Argents are dying left and right. Vulcan moves up and starts doing its damage to the Argents and has to back its way away so it does not get absolutely obliterated. Bobs are going to move forward and try to get the repair, and this is nice micro by Mixu. Mixu doing a very, very good job of turning what seemed like an overwhelming force or what seemed like a losing match for a lesser player, but was able to turn it around with just a few units, proving sometimes quality can truly win over quantity, as well as very, very good micro. All the forces left for Aureil are just those Argents and a couple of Curie over there taking out the tower as Mixu begins to take the Luminite tower in the center. Mixu's resources are looking pretty good, especially compared to his opponent, and he's building another natural expansion over there in the south. While I believe there's only one Luminite area grabbed by the Celestial faction. Couple more Argents, couple more Curie, and a single Seraphine, but it's not going to be enough to stop these Hornets. Mixu is kicking in the front door, and he is now paying Aureil a visit, moving these Hornets in, moving these Hedgehogs back and forward, and trying the best he can to keep his Volcom alive. Doing a very, very good job of splitting his forces, and not only just splitting his forces, but making his forces get out of it. He is forcing his opponent to engage in a pure air battle, and oh no, he has used the blocking to Aureil's disadvantage, knocking Aureil out of the tournament. Mixu will be moving on to the next round. I will see you in match number 6, Commander. There you are, Commander. We are now in match number 6 on Secluded Grove. Start us off in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the blue robes and the celestial gloves. We have Hai. His opponent for the moment in the top right-hand corner of the map, wearing the red robes, sporting the infernal gloves. Here is Kel. Both fighters ready. Begin. Diving right into it, we already have an aggressive start with Imps and the Hexen for Kel moving into Hai's territory. I'm guessing we're going to see some aggressive shenanigans early on in this game series. Hai is positioning his Morph Core to move further and closer to his opponent's base and to try to get set up over there, but it looks like the Infernals are going to beat him to the punch. They're going to outrush the Celestials, and we're going to get to see how this plays out. Seeing these high level rushes, words are hard, are definitely always interesting to see what these guys are going to do. It looks like we're getting 2 Shroud Stones immediately inside the base of Hai, and I'm not sure Hai has an answer to this. If those Shroud Stones get built, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to Hai, and on top of that, there are some brutes on their way. The Inferno faction is proving that they are more and more like the Zerg with their Zerg rushes as time passes, and Kel doing a very good job of showing that exact thing. 2 link nodes get placed down for Hai, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to deal with these Shroud Stones, which are almost built up. Power Bank is here, 1 Argent is here, but there are also more reinforcements, more Fiends to start going after this poor 1 little bitty Argent. And there it is, there are the 2 Shroud Stones, they're down, and Hai is already in trouble. We're not even a minute in, and Hai is in a difficult situation. Kel was extremely, extremely fast with his Imps into his Shroud Stones, and they're just going to sit there and eat Hai's base. I'm not sure what he can get done. He has so much inside of his territory. He has Fiends, he has a Hexen, he has 2 Shroud Stones, and no answers to any of it. He does have 1 Morph Core over there, probably trying to get some Vectors out, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. Even if he does get those Vectors out, losing his main base this early in the game is probably a death sentence. And almost his entire base is completely taken out, and I take it back. There is the GG. Hai throws in the towel, and we are already moving on to match number 7, Commander. I'll see you there. That was a fast one, Commander. We are now in round 2, match number 7 between Hai and Kel. Hai has maintained his blue and his celestial, and Kel has maintained his red and his infernals. The good luck, have fun comes out, and let's see if we get the exact same thing we got from Kel this last time around. I guess I forgot to mention, we are on the map Broken Crown. It does appear to be the same opener. Kel is grabbing his Hexen as a scout and his 2 Imps to move in to the base of Hai. Let's see if Hai is better prepared for it this time around. Morph Core is going to spot the 2 Imps, but I'm not sure how much damage he's going to be able to get done to them. He's going to have a very, very hard time keeping up with the Imps. 1 Imp is hurt, but he is not taken down. His armor, the gray you see right there, and his HP has gone down just a little bit. What will Hai do this time around that will save him from this rush? Is he already going to pump out an Argent? Is he already going to try to grab something sooner rather than later? We will get to see here any moment. There it is. The Imps are, they actually didn't get deployed. Too little, too late. The Argent is already here to start dealing damage to this Hexen, start dealing damage to these Shroud Stones. It looks like Hai's answer was just to get his Argent out just a little bit faster in anticipation for these Shroud Stones. And there is a second Argent already starting to poke on these Shroud Stones. One Shroud Stone does get taken down. This strategy may have worked the first time against High. It may have caught him by surprise the first time, but it's not going to work the second time around. High is ready for it, and High is actively taking down his opponent's defenses. However, they are not out of the woods yet. Sure, this Hexen is now officially down, but that is a Shroud Stone that is officially up, and it's also going to have its creep, or whatever the Infernals call the area in which they place their buildings. Another Shroud Stone gets taken down, or sorry, the first Shroud Stone does get taken down, leaving the second one by itself, and by the time it gets up, it's going to be taken out rather handedly by these Argents. It's going to have about half HP, so it's going to get a couple of shots off on these Argents, but I'm not sure High cares. I think just High wants to go ahead and murder this thing and get it out of his territory. However, Kel is buying himself a lot of time, and oh no, there goes another Argent to the Fiends. I didn't even see them sneak in here. Kel is being an absolute pest. High is trying his hardest to remove him from his base, but he is like a fungus, a really bad fungus that just will not go away. Another power bank does get deployed, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see another Argent here in a second. Yep, there is the other Argent. He's going to start grabbing the Shroud Stone. That is his biggest threat. He needs to kill that Shroud Stone and get rid of it. That is the main deal he has to deal with. And while he's been doing that, while High's been fighting this battle inside his base, he was able to get a Starforge down in the center, or closer to Kel's base, and try to get some I forget what that unit's called early on, but he does not manage to grab it whatsoever, and it looks like, yep, vectors, that's what it was. He's going to try to get some vectors out, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get it out before the Starforge goes down, and there it is. The Starforge is taken out by just 4 Fiends. Kel absolutely on top of it. Kel being an absolute vicious beast. Putting the aggression over and over on High, and on top of just doing that, he was very good on the uptake. He was very good at spotting, whether it was luck or not, but spotting where High would place that ability. And the harassment is not done. Kel is not done. He has left his couch here, and he is going to set himself back up. He's going to live inside of High's base as he continues taking out this Curation Chamber. There is a Vector out, but I think it's going to be too little too late for the Curation Chamber. No, actually the Fiends are going to give up on it and run away. I guess that Vector's just going to do too much damage to those light units, and there it goes. There goes 4 Fiends, and High was able to sell his Curation Chamber. However, he has to change the tempo of this game if he wants to be able to pull a win out from Kel. Kel is being just absolutely vicious and relentless in this tournament. It doesn't look like anybody has gone for their natural expansions right now. Everything has been, I don't want to say all-ins, but everything has been rushes and quick moving units as quickly as they can get them out. We do have a Brute here, which is going to scout 1 and 2 of the Vectors, and the Brute is by itself, but he blows himself up in order to get the Fiends out, and the Fiends are going to go down just as quickly, but not before dealing damage to these Vectors. Vector's going to turn around. Hopefully they can get those Gaunts, get that early damage on those Gaunts and take them out. Those are the real threat to deal with, those Gaunts. And if he can get his micro, if High can keep his micro, I should say, he will be able to win this rather handedly. He is transitioning in and out of his units like he should with this micro. And there are the Fiends. There goes another Brute. There are 2 Gaunts, 2 Brutes taken out by those Vectors. There are more reinforcements here, but the Vectors are also here, and they've begun to take the health tower, which is going to be critical for them. They're going to need that HP in order to continue this assault. High is doing a very good job of keeping the enemy off his back, or more importantly, keeping the enemy off of his base. Moving this aggression over on Kel's side is very, very good for him, because it will stop Kel from just doing that relentless assault on top of him. It does look like High is going to transition around and grab these Vision Towers. That's going to give him a little bit more Luminite as well as Vision, and then I believe they still get experience. The Vectors still get experience for killing these mobs. I'm not sure quite how much it is. There doesn't appear to be something in, that's what I call the StarCraft, in Stormgate to show me how far along units are on their experience, but we'll probably get to see 1 or 2 of them upgrade here in a bit. It'd be even easier if the health bars work, but they do not. High going for another tower over here. This time he's going for a speed tower, taking out the Shadow Dogs, but he's going to get caught in a bad spot if he's not careful. These Gaunts need to be dealt with, and there is the blink. High deciding to not take that engagement. That would have been a bad spot for him. However, that means that his opponent, that means that Kel is going to get that tower from him for free. I'm not sure if High was able to get it in time in order to get the Luminite from it. It would be nice to see if there was like a resource pop up over here, like something in Luminite with a quantity of how much they get for taking that camp. And or like who ended up grabbing it, or even if they added it to this, instead of it just ticking up when they took a camp, it'd be like plus 60 or however much those camps give. And here we go. The scout is here. The fiends are here to start the one of the larger engagements so far. No, our Vector does get caught out. He has 43 HP. If he's not careful, he's going to get taken out. 27 HP. That fiend is absolutely on top of him. However, it does look like just in time he was able to make it out, just barely. However, he's still down to 14 HP and he's finally taken out. But they are inside High's base, and High is ready for this. He's got some Curies ready to go to soak up some of the damage of these brutes, but he will need to transition into something other than just the Vectors to help him out here. Morph Core for High, poking around looking for maybe another expansion here in a moment. I could see that being critically important. Kel grabbing the camps away from his opponent, grabbing the Luminite from his opponent, and High actually finding a couple of units here to pick on, but they are ready for it. There's an FUG down, which means those units are going to get just a little bit more HP, and if they're not careful, they're going to get pincered in a really bad location, but High is on top of it and able to micro his way out of it. That was very good on High's end, being able to do that. However, his base is going to be undefended. These troops are going to walk right into his base. High is in the background, or was in the background, grabbing that speed boost, but I think it's going to be too little too late. These forces are going to waltz right into his base. Sure, he has 3 Curies, and they're going to be able to do a little bit of damage, but not enough. And there goes an Argent getting sniped down. That's not great whatsoever for High, and I think he lost his collection tower on that Luminite node. These units are just so late to the party. Hopefully the Vectors will see that Gaunt and get it for free. They're going to need everything they can in order to win this fight. This is a lot of Infernals to deal with. However, the Curies are here to support the Vectors, but the Vectors are falling left and right to these Gaunts. Gaunt's doing a very good job. Kel doing a very good job with his micro on top of his Gaunts, and it does look like the Infernals are winning this. The upgrade for the Curie is not here, so they cannot run around after they have exploded, and the Gaunts did a very good job of avoiding the damage, avoiding the Curies as they were exploding. High's not looking in a great position. He loses his creation chamber. He's lost his army, and he's down to just 3 Curie. I'm not sure he's going to be able to turn this around, but who knows? He was able to pull that around earlier, so we'll see. More Curies keep popping their way out, and I believe there's another creation chamber. However, High throws in the towel, knocking him out of this tournament, moving Kel into the next bracket. I will see you in match number 8, Commander. Welcome to the last part of the bracket, Commander. We are just before the quarterfinals. Whoever advances to this will finalize who is in the quarterfinals. We are on the map Titan's Causeway. Over here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, wearing the blue robes and the Vanguard gloves, we have Percival. His opponent for the moment in the top right-hand corner of the map, wearing the red robes, sporting the celestial gloves. Here stands Garnath. Both fighters ready? Begin! Percival starting with the traditional Vanguard opener of the dog. He's going to take a nibble at a couple of the buildings, but it's not going to do too much. The dog's not going to do enough damage to the buildings of Garnath in order to actually be worth anything. They're just going to heal back before that, but he's just letting his opponent know that he is there. However, I think he can sneak away this camp if he's careful with the scout dogs, and I think that's actually what Percival is going for. He's going to wait for the last hit on this arc ship, and actually the arc ship's going to turn around and say, no, I'm not going to give it to the dog. I'm going to move a Morph Core instead to try to poke out this little bitty slime. There is the howl from the dog. He's going to yell at the clouds before he leaves. However, he is going to turn his way back around and try to snipe the slime away from Garnath. That'll be a nice little bit of Luminite if he can grab that from his opponent, and most importantly, he will deny it from his opponent. However, Garnath is absolutely on top of it, and every time the dog gets close, he ends up shooting it with the Morph Core. And there it is. He does get the last mob, which, I mean, I think if he does get the mobs, he gets the Luminite. He may not win the tower right now, but he does at least get the Luminite. And that dog's actually in a really sneaky location. I did not see it there. There's a Guardian Nexus here that the dog is going to scout, that Percival is going to scout, but it's not going to do enough damage to the Nexus to really write home about. Percival moving into his secondary location rather nicely, into his natural expansion rather nicely. I didn't check the timing between Percival and Garnath as far as who moved into what, but I gotta imagine the Celestial got there a little bit quicker. Those Morph Cores are pretty fast. The Scout Dog is going to continue to pick on this poor defenseless building, but it's going to heal back almost just as quickly unless Percival can get some more dogs over there, and that does not appear to be what he's going for. In the background, he was able to grab his own health tower, getting him some small amounts of Luminite early on in the game and giving him the ability to heal. And actually, at some point, the dog was able to take the tower. Maybe there were just no forces over here. There's a Curie to run around and chase the dog, but the dog's just going to keep kiting and healing, and it's going to be super great if Percival can kill this Curie with the dog. This is definitely some tryhardness, and it's super funny. He's just absolutely queuing up the Curie, making him chase the dog. The Curie cannot make it to this poor little dog. He's trying his best. He's got to be running out of breath here soon. The dog does finally decide to get out of there after Percival does a little bit of trolling on top of Garnath, just sort of wasting some time. Garnath is going to sort of return the favor, taking the health tower of Percival, but that is very, very minor. He's just going to continue being an absolute pest with this dog, scouting, poking around, just being a real nuisance, not doing anything significant other than annoying the crap out of his opponents. For some reason, Percival hasn't moved into his health tower to grab it. Oh no, I guess he is in the radius. I wish I could see the circle around that to see what was around that. Another Curie is going to try to chase the dog, but I'm not sure he heard the word on the wire that the dogs are just too fast to be caught by the Curies. And here we go. The dog's going to try the same thing, but with 4 Curies this time around. And unfortunately, that is a Fur Missile down. That is a good boy down. He was able to troll one of the Curies, but the Curies brought his bought his friends to take out the super annoying dog. Unfortunate for Percival and unfortunate for that dog, but he did get a large number of scouting out on him. Garnath is going to transition over into a Vector with a couple of these Curies sort of getting ready for one of these assaults. It's going to be Hedgehogs and Dogs from Percival. I don't think that's going to be enough to deal with that. One good boy does get taken down. Once again, there's another good boy and another Hedgehog here. More and more reinforcements are on their way. There's a really slow moving Lancer in all of this mess, and I think Percival actually can come up on top of this, especially if he can get, if he can micro and kite those Curie. That will be the biggest part right there. Percival actually getting a little bit of a block off over here by his habitats, making a choke point for himself and setting up a sentry post. The Lancer was able to get a minor shot off, but it wasn't enough to take down any of these Vectors. And it looks like these Vectors are actually in relatively good health. We're going for Curies and Vectors so far on the Garnath side of the map, and Hedgehogs and possibly Dogs for Percival. I don't know if all his dogs got sniped and he's just fully transitioning into the Hedgehogs. That would make sense. We got 2 Curies moving in the north, trying to look for a free tower to snag, trying to outmaneuver their opponent, trying to outmaneuver Percival. But Percival is ready for it. Percival is going to start poking on these Curies with his Hedgehogs, and is probably going to get at least one of these guys. He's got 13 HP. He's got 5 HP down there, 6 HP. He might actually make it out of there. No, he's not going to make it out of there. He's got 8 HP. Where did he go? I missed him. No, he did finally get taken down by the Hedgehogs in the south. The Curie in the north does make it out, and these Hedgehogs actually move themselves into an unfortunate position. There is the blink forward for the Vectors. Garnath wanting to miss this opportunity. If he can get to these Hedgehogs, that'll save him a lot of time later on. However, the micro is here for Percival. Percival is still absolutely on top of it. I heard a splat, but maybe I missed it. I was not able to quite see who was taken out here. Speed buff does get touched on all of these vectors, making these units all a little bit more faster. And there goes the Hedgehog, unfortunately, for Percival. They are inside of his base. Garnath is here and starting to take down these sentries, starting to take down those buzzers, but they do decide to turn around over here in the very last minute. Hedgehog's helping the push out of all of these units. The units are going to run over here and grab what they can on the speed tower, getting a little bit of buff and trying to get more and more of these Hedgehogs. However, they have not been successful as of right now, and as soon as I say that, they prove me a liar. Garnath proves me a liar, taking out another Hedgehog, doing a very good job. One Curie does get taken down, so these Hedgehogs have been doing a decent job. Two Curies do get taken down. Those little bitty back and forwards are going to matter in the long run of the game. They're not going to matter a whole bunch right now, but every little bit lost is going to make a big difference later on versus these pros. Every tiny mistake is going to add up, and it's going to add up quickly, because at the level we are playing with, these players are going to be able to capitalize on any mistake they can see or smell in their opponent. So far, everybody has been just absolutely on top of it when it comes to the Percival Garnath game, doing a very, very good job in this. And we also have our first transition over into Vulcans for the Vanguard faction for Percival. He's going Hedgehogs and Vulcans, and now he is revealing the center of the map. He's revealing that Luminite tower for himself after the Bob takes down two of the trees. So now he can move in there if he likes, unless he is beaten to the punch by Garnath, or even worse, if he sneaks his way in there, Garnath sees it and then catches him in a bad spot. Getting caught by Curies will not be super great for him. That would definitely put a large damper into everything. However, I guess if they do get stuck in the center, they might be able to micro. There might be just enough room for them to micro around. Vectors and Curies still seem to be the name of the game for Garnath. He's just about to meet these Hedgehogs, and actually he's done a really good job of splitting his forces, and is probably going to be able to catch a chunk of these Hedgehogs. However, the Hedgehogs move forward and take out the Verticals, and no, they're absolutely closed in by all of these Curies. The Curies are just going to eat all of those units for breakfast. That is a lot of Hedgehogs down for Percival. That has got to sting. He's going to be feeling that here any moment, because Garnath is going to be at his gate, but instead he stopped for a snack. He's going to grab that secondary resource tower for himself and probably take each tower on the way down to his opponent. He's got a little bit of time to play with this because he has a massive bio ball ready. However, the Vulcans are here, but they're going to need something in front of them. Two more Hedgehogs have moved forward. A healer has moved forward, so they are going to be able to do something. And actually, Garnath is going to decide to break off and go for the Shadow Dogs instead. I thought that was going to give these Vulcans time to kill the Shadow Demons, but if they don't know where the army is, they probably do not want to risk it. And actually, I missed another expansion over here by Percival. Percival's been quietly building up his economy more and more, as well as Garnath. They both probably moved on that just pretty close to the same time. Percival got to go ahead and grab this speed tower when he is able to. That'll be great because it might be able to help him outmaneuver these Curies just a little bit better. But this is a lot of Curies, this is a lot of Vectors, and this is a lot of Archons. And oh no, more Hedgehogs are going to get caught in a really bad location for Percival. But Percival does manage to make it out of there just barely. One of them, one of the Hedgehogs being taken down to half HP. Vulcan's moving to the south, and they're going to run into these Curies here relatively quickly. Curies are going to move into the back line of the Bobs and disrupt that production. I'm not sure if he got a boost out in time or if he even was able to see that coming. He does need to move his Vectors, his Vulcans up to support this assault, because this is a lot by Garnath. Garnath has a lot on the front porch of Percival. Percival is not looking in a decent spot. This may actually be the end of the game. Losing this natural expansion will be massive. Losing all these units will be massive. There have been too many mistakes on Percival's end that Garnath has been able to capitalize on and is still continuing to capitalize on. Not that Percival can't turn it around, but he is not looking in a great spot. However, the Securitytron is going to keep, the Security Post with the Repair-O-Matic is going to try to keep this Vulcan alive, but it's not going to do it. The Vulcan's just going to get taken out. He's going to continue to run away, and the Assault's actually going to continue down on the first natural expansion of his opponent. All of these Bobs are in a not super great spot. They are going to be able to push out some of these units, but it's still not looking super great for Percival. He's very much so on his back foot. He's finally moved his Bobs around into repairing each other to buy himself even more time for these units to move in, and there is the GG. It looks like that is a win for Garnath. Percival throws in the towel, trying his luck better in the next round. Let's see how he fares in match number 9, Commander. I'll see you there. Here we are in match number 9, round 2, between Percival and Garnath on the map Boneyard. It does look like Percival has been able to maintain both his blue and maintain his Vanguard, while his opponent Garnath, the winner of the last round, was able to maintain his red and maintain his Celestial. I do not even know if it's common for people of this skill level to even swap around. And the other item of note is, do they even want to try to swap around with how new this game is? They probably have one faction that they have been playing over and over and over to work on these builds, especially for these tournaments, and they're probably going to stick to that. They're probably going to stick to similar builds. The higher level players will have a couple more builds built out, and oh no, there is a good boy already being taken out by the Arc ship. Garnath not wanting to play that game this time around, taking out the good boy early on. First Lancer is out for Percival. He's going to start picking on the slimes over here for himself, while the Arc ship picks on the slimes for Garnath over here. It does look like he's going to choose to do some building of a Morph Core and a couple other things instead of wrapping up this fight. Maybe he's going to use the Morph Core to kill the slimes. Yeah, that does appear to be the case. He's going to use the Morph Cores to kill the slimes and get himself a little bit of Luminite from taking out that tower. This Lancer's actually in a bad spot, but able to take out 2 right there at the end. If he can get out, that'll be great for him, and he won't lose a Lancer to some mobs. That does appear to be the case, and he is going for the, yep, there it is, the healing flower as quickly as he can grab it. The dog is back just in time to try to snipe the slime from the Morph ship, but the Morph ship transitions into killing the scout just as quickly, and I think the dog actually got it right there. I think Percival was able to grab the final kill on the healing tower. Percival still being an absolute pest with these dogs. They're so hard to deal with, and I swear every single one of them is coated in oil. They're super, super slippery. That one managing to make it out with a whole 4 HP. He is 1 ladybug trip away from death. He is not done, though. He's going to continue running around, and no, actually, he's going to hide in the bushes, maybe waiting for... Oh, we grabbed a flower at some point. Maybe he's waiting for Percival to move into a natural expansion, but that does not appear to be the case. Garnath to move into a natural expansion. He does decide instead to move his dog to help his Shadow Demon in order to take out this tower to get himself a little bit more Luminite. Lancer hurt just a little bit again, grabbing the healing flower and moving back in there. I believe that was a rank up for the Exo. Yep, a rank up for the Exo and a tower for Percival. Percival still has not transitioned into his natural expansion, so he might be a little bit behind on economy. However, I don't know how the numbers break down with the camps, like how many camps you have to take in order to offset the fact that you do not have a natural expansion yet. It does look like Percival is going to go for another tower, and he does get the kill on the very last mob. I could really use someone in the comments to let me know what constitutes getting the Luminite from the tower. Do you have to capture it, or do you have to kill the last mob? I know with the V5 rocket towers, the ones that give you an additional unit, is there one over here? Yeah, this one right here. I know if you kill the skull squisher, that it gives whoever killed it to them, but I don't know about the Luminite resources. We do have 4 Curies out here for Garnath. They're going to do some scouting around and try to grab this vision tower away from his opponent, and they are probably going to be successful. This dog for Percival is still continuing to be a pest. He was actually able to grab this watchtower, and he's going to make the Curie chase him once again around this little area. If he's not careful, though, this dog, even if covered in oil, is going to get trapped by these Curies, and those Curies are doing a very good job of actually trying to trap it in, but still not able able to get it. Percival's just being an absolute little troll with these dogs, occupying the forces of the Curie and just annoying Garnath. Always great to see. I am definitely a fan of seeing it. It definitely breaks up the early game, getting to see this good boy skirt around these Curies. I do think it's super funny. No, there he goes. He finally gets taken down. I think Percival took his eyes off him just for 2 or 3 seconds, and the good boy goes down. Another one taken out. If the Lancer's not careful, he's going to join the dogs here quickly. This is a lot of Exos that are going to be able to try and save the Lancer, and they are going to be here just in time. However, the Curie are going to go into Baneley mode and try to roll away. And Argent is here to support them, as well as a couple more Curie, but this is a good number of Exos already by Percival. Percival still has not transitioned over into his natural expansion, purely focusing on just getting some units out, and it does appear to be that the Bobs got their boost and are fighting off the Curies inside of their defensive line. One Curie does go down, another Curie does go down, and they both blow up. And that good boy, I think the Curie was stuck on top of it, but it's actually not going to do enough damage. Good boy is going to survive. I know everyone was worried about it. I sure was. Natural expansion for Garnath is developing rather nicely over here. He doesn't have the same number of forces as Percival. Percival going for a stronger army early on and deciding to go for more and more of these towers. Right now he is up on the towers, at least for the time being. One good boy is going to go over here and scout out, and he's going to see the Curies by Garnath, and it looks like the Curies might actually be the ones that get pinched this time. Nope, they are just a little bit too fast, and Percival is not wanting to commit to that. Percival instead is focusing his attention on trying to grab this secondary resource with his Exo and get some EXP on his Exos. Lancer goes for the healing flower in order to set that, and here we go, the natural expansion finally further into this game. I want to say, yep, 6 minutes into the game, it looks like Percival has decided to grab his natural expansion, but I can't say too much. For starters, he's a much better player than I am, but he has managed to survive this entire time, and he's doing much better, and he's up on infantry and been able to pick on Garnath just a little bit, even if with just annoying dog tactics and pressure him out when he needed to. If this Lancer is not careful, it is going to get captured, or is going to get killed by these Curies, and I do not think he's going to be able to make it out in time. He grabs the flower right before he dies and gets, oh, that's actually a really good idea. I didn't realize that can happen. You can use the trees as a choke point. That Lancer made the Curies funnel right there, and he's deciding to stay inside of that corner. A whole bunch of dogs, a whole bunch of Exos, a whole bunch of Lancers. That does seem to be the answer Percival is going for, and he is going to keep grabbing these resources. And there is the V5 rocket launcher that I was talking about earlier, and it's going to try to pick on this Lancer, who is still just sort of hanging out over here. And the V5 rocket is sick of the crap from the Lancer, is sick of the annoying tactics from Percival, and it's just going to fire a rocket, destroying all of the trees, killing that other Lancer. Percival doing a very good job of just annoying his opponent and making him grind his teeth throughout this match. He hasn't made any major engagements yet, but it's all been infuriating stuff like that, which can weigh on your opponent, especially in a tournament, because these tournaments are sort of also a war of attrition on the person's mental. Not being able to tilt is still extremely important for these higher level players, and these higher level players are still human. They're still got to get upset and annoyed at stuff, you know, no matter what it is, and whether Percival's doing it on purpose or if he's just being cheeky. Either way, it is funny, at least for me, to see. V5 rocket is going to start its engagement on the forces of Percival, but I'm not sure how much it's going to be able to get done. It looks like Percival's more concerned with killing this Shadow Demon. However, he does use a couple of dogs and I think a Lancer to take out that V5 rocket. That's unfortunate for Garnath. He did still get the resources from capturing the tower, but losing that unit for free has got to bite just a little bit. Garnath deciding to go for his own watchtower, boosting his economy just a little bit more. I'm curious to see if we're going to get to see some higher level, higher tech units these times around. And oh no, Garnath's natural expansion, the one up here that's harder for Vanguard to grab, gets sniped just as soon as it almost finishes building. But that's not the only one. Garnath was able to grab the one on the other side as well, and we might actually get to see our first engagement. We have dogs over here trying to corner the Curies and the Vectors of Garnath, but the fight is not wanting to be taken right now. Lancers moving up, dogs moving up, and if they're not careful, these Curie are going to move into the back line of the Exos. However, a couple of dogs were kept at bay in order to do that. Here goes the kiting, here goes the moving back and forward for the Exos, and they're just going to keep picking off Curie after Curie. However, those two Curies are going to blow up in the center of these Exos, but there are healers here in order to do this, and the first true skirmish goes to Percival. Percival doing a very good job. He had those dogs in reserve. However, he does not have too many more dogs in reserves for the moment, but he does have a bunch of healers ready to go, and he has regrouped with a couple of Lancers. The other natural expansion for Percival, or for Garnath, does get scouted and sniped down by Percival. That's two expansions that Percival has been able to grab. He's looking in much better shape than he was that last time around, and he has a good bio ball built up. Dog doing its scouting for the bio ball for Percival. They're just looking to see where this engagement will be. I'm assuming that Percival thinks that his opponent is to the south. That would be my assumption. And there it is. There's the Curie. This might be the second true engagement. It may actually be the last engagement for this one if Percival is able to win this. He's inside the base of Garnath, but he's got to be careful because these Curies, when they explode, are going to keep doing more and more damage, and he needs to have these Exos alive to continue this assault. He's doing a very good job. Garnath is still absolutely outnumbered and looking in not a great spot. Percival electing not to eco up early and going more into military, and it seemed to have paid off in a very heavy way, because now he is munching on the base of his opponent while his opponent is running all of those Curies away to go do, I'm not sure what, maybe some shopping at the mall, but I think this is over. The fat lady may have not sung, but she may as well have. Percival is setting up a couch. He is starting to live inside the main base of Garnath. Not looking real great for Garnath. He has nothing here to defend. I'm not sure why he's thrown in the towel. There's only so much he's going to be able to do with those remaining Curies while Percival, chews on his opponent's base. And there it is. There is the GG. Garnath sees the writing of the wall and gives that round to Percival, tying up the score at 1-1. Whoever wins the next round advances into the quarterfinal brackets. We'll see you in match number 10, Commander. Here we are in match number 10, Commander, between Percival and Garnath. Garnath able to maintain his red and his celestial, and the same going for Percival, able to maintain his blue and maintain his vanguard. Whoever wins this match advances into the quarterfinals, so this is the final before the quarterfinals, so that is a lot of finals, at least final two. Moving into this next round. Percival moving his good boy back into his opponent's base, getting ready to do some more shenanigans. Morph Core moving forward and advancing on the collection ray, starting off with a stronger eco sooner rather than later. I'm curious to see if Percival is going to ignore his natural expansion, this dual Illuminite natural expansion, like he did last time, in favor of grabbing more troops early on. That did work out well for him. However, that last map was smaller. The Isles are a much larger map for them to get away and do stuff with. I'm curious if you can actually take these healing towers, or not healing towers, these healing flowers for free. That might be a good idea to deny it from your opponent. I know that's going to be a super minor thing. There's a couple more flowers here and there, but that'll be super great. Percival looking to possibly grab this Shadow Mastiff and take it on, and it is dog versus dog, good boy versus bad boy, and the Morph Core is going to decide to take some shots at the Scout instead, but I think Percival's going to do a better job at killing this Shadow Mastiff. Shadow Mastiff healing up, everybody waiting for that last hit on the Mastiff, the Morph Core looking for it, and the dog looking for it, and the Mastiff actually jumps out of the way of the dog just in time. I do not believe Percival was able to grab that. I think that did go to Garnath because of that final dash right there. Guardian Nexus gets deployed directly on top of this Swiftness Tower, and the good boy, the Fur Missile, is going to start taking a couple of chunks out of it just to be annoying. We do have an Exo and a Lancer out early to take the center part of the map, to take this tower and get some Luminite for their commander, for Percival. He's still not grabbed his natural expansion, so maybe he's going for a similar build that he did last time, where he grabs more and more units than he does move into that natural expansion. How he can sort of offset those costs, I don't know how the math boils down if he just takes a bunch of camps instead of taking his natural expansion, but I gotta imagine at some point the natural expansion is more worth it than just going for these camps, unless, you know, I guess Celestials for a lot of people are the rush faction. One thing we see a lot of is that I forget which factory produces the vectors, but a common tactic for the Celestials is to put that factory somewhere close to their opponent, or at least halfway through the map, and just start pumping out vectors, because vectors are extremely fast, they have decent range, and they can do a very, very good job of kiting and making these hit and run tactics. However, that does not appear to be Garnath's strategy. Garnath definitely going for a more eco build, trying this a second time around against Percival. He did win that first round, bringing us to that 1-to-1. Good Boy is going to scout this Argent, so he's going to see that, not Percival, that Garnath has transitioned into Argents, and there is a Curie. Good Boy's going to see the 2 Curies and the Argent, and know that those are available, and continue his scouting into the main base of Garnath, which is exactly what he wants to do. Exos are floating around, possibly looking for another tower to grab here in a moment. Maybe they're going to go for this energy tower, as well as the Luminite that is associated with. And I think that was actually a bit of a misping. He was asking someone to help his poor little doggo being chased once again by these Curies. Curies do the best they can to try to catch him, but Percival is too smooth. He oiled up his dog way too well. Phrasing. But the dog does make it out. He gets his scout off, and he's able to sneak into the forest, actually getting a howl off in order to make sure the Curie aren't going to cut him off somewhere. Not sure where he can grab the healing flower. Maybe he's planning to move up there later on. I'm not sure, or maybe it's an unwritten rule for these higher level players that maybe you know just don't touch someone's flower. I really don't know, or maybe it's just not going to be that big of an advantage. Percival's probably got better things to do, and he is going to run over here and get a Argent for free. Exo's going to move in, and they're going to try to take this tower here in a second. There goes one Argent down, but he does elect to not go for the tower. Instead, no, actually he was going to go south, but it looks like the fight in the south may come to him. These Curies Curies have also decided to back off. Everybody's sort of doing this in and out, not wanting to pick a fight, not wanting to pick an engagement. Dogs do finally take the healing tower away from their opponent, away from Garnath. And Percival's looking in top form. He's got a good number of Exos. He's got a good number of dogs. He's got 3 at least, and he's going to continue taking more and more of these towers, ranking up a couple more of his units, while his opponent Garnath has gone for mass Curie instead of Argents or really anything else. Dogs are going to continue their scouting. They are going to finally see this Curie, and it's going to contest the taking of that tower. Curies are made to free roam in the southern part of the map. Hopefully, Percival senses that coming, senses that something is up, and that does not appear to be the case just yet. If he's not careful, he's going to get caught in a bad spot. One Exo is going to get caught in a bad spot for him as well, but the speed buff from the shot does manage to save him. The Bio Ball for his opponent, for Percival, is still moving along quite nicely. They do grab that HP, and they are grabbing this Luminite tower. So Percival's doing a very good job of grabbing tower after tower, getting the buffs, getting the Luminite. But unfortunately, there are a couple of Curies moving into his base with only 3 Exos to defend. The buff for the Bobs does pop out, giving them more strength and armor, just making them harder to deal with overall, while these Exos continue to take shots at the Curies, but I'm not sure how much it'll matter. This is still a good number of Curies. However, they are not able to concave in the way they want to. Being melee units, it's a little bit harder. They get stuck in spots and are unable to get what they want, but this is a lot of Bobs going down on the only natural expansion of Percival. Percival needs this lifeline. This could actually be game almost already. Him losing all of these Bobs is going to be extremely detrimental to the game, especially because Garnath has that well-developed natural expansion. Percival is still up pretty well on units, at least for the time being, while his opponent is going for these hit and run. I guess Curie is the best way to do it. He was able to get a good number of bobs in that assault. Maybe he didn't maybe he didn't get quite as many as I thought he did. We may get another engagement over here. However, this is not going to be great for the Lancers. They are in a bad spot. They are isolated. They need to wait for the rest of their forces. However, they're going to go for it anyways. The Exos and the Lancers and the Dogs are going to do a good job of teaming up on the Curie. They're going to get 1 Curie, 2 Curie, 3 Curies. There goes 3 Curies down, 4 relatively for free. I got to imagine if the Curie don't turn around that the Exos are going to go for this healing tower, especially if a couple of these units are down. I really wish the HP bars worked in the spectators mode. It's extremely unfortunate that that does not work for us. And these Curies are absolutely everywhere. They've elected to go for the healing over here on their tower, and I don't think I've seen anything other than Curie from Garnath. If he's got all these Curies, I'm curious if he's going to grab the upgrade for them, where he, for those who don't know, when the Curies die, they explode like banelings. They also roll like banelings. And you can get an upgrade for them because when they explode, or while they're exploding, they're stuck in one location. But you can get a upgrade for them where they can explode and continue to move up until when they die. Which is obviously very, very useful. For those of you who also didn't know, the Curie did get a little bit of a nerf. They went from what a lot of people considered a very overpowered unit to just sort of a good unit. They lost armor in their roll form. And here we go. This is actually going to be our first real major engagement right here. These Exos need to be careful. If they get caught by these Curies, they're going to be in a very curious spot for them, and the fight is continuing. The Exos are still continuing to move back over and over again. It doesn't look like the upgrade for Garnath is here, and those Exos doing an amazing job actually getting a large number of kills on the Curies. Lancers are going to get caught out. There's not much they can do about them. The Lancers are sort of the low-hanging fruit, the slower-moving units, and geez, this is a lot of Curies. They are going to split up, and the Dog's actually going to scout that. He's going to see that these units are splitting up, and hopefully he is able to respond to this. His forces are split up, and oh no, there is the GG. That is somebody popping out of the match. That is Percival popping out of the match. There it is. That gives Garnath the win and knocks Percival out of the tournament. Garnath is going to move on to the second series of brackets. He's going to move on to the quarterfinals, and we will see you in that one. However, thank you for tuning in, Commander. I have been your host, Korak. Transmission out.